Good afternoon, it's Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls, and we have another Toyota for you today. This is a Toyota RAV4 2019, as you see, but this is the Trail Edition, not the base, not the XLE. The Trail is the off-road model, and this is a beauty, because nice big 19-inch wheels, has optional two-tone paint. It's they call it a midnight black metallic over sort of a pearl white roof. Again, that was a $540 option with that sort of two-tone paint. Of course, you'll see up top you also have the big oversized moonroof and the black roof rails. And of course, easy to attach canoes and boats and other stuff if you're into the off-road outdoor wilderness lifestyle. Mirrors themselves are folding. You've got integrated LED mirrors. They're heated, they have blind spot monitoring, so this is all achieved with a radar sensor that's sort of located on either side of the back bumper, and it has really twofold functionality. One is for blind spot, so it sort of reads what's beside you when you're trying to lane change or get a feel for what if you're moving on the road, who's in that position. It'll light up on the mirror, but also it has what they call rear cross traffic assist, so that same radar sensor picks up motion along the side. So if you're backing out of your driveway in the wintertime and perhaps high snowbanks you can't see very well, or parking lots, very common, right? You're trying to back out of a parking lot and somebody's racing along, it'll see that and again give you that warning so you can brake and certainly avoid any serious kind of incidents. We have what they call defrosting or de-icing right under the windshield here, what they call front wiper park de-icing. So again, that's for winter time. If you get snow and ice build up, it's not going to cause the wipers to freeze to the window. Up top, we have two things going on there. One is what they call a rain sensor, and it's a ultraviolet sensor that reads the precipitation as it hits the windshield. So whether it's rain, snow, sleet, etc., and when you're in the auto mode of your wipers, it will actually speed up or slow down the wiper pulsing for both the speed that you're driving as well as the intensity of the snow or precipitation. So you're not constantly adjusting. The other feature is a camera, and basically it's got several different functions. One is it's monitoring what's going on out in front of you, in addition to what they call a radar sensor that's in the nose of the car for its adaptive cruise control. These two sort of work in parallel, and one thing it does is what they call adaptive front braking, and where it will actually sort of collision mitigation. So if it's sensing that you're closing in too fast on either another vehicle, it also has pedestrian, cyclist detection. So even somebody else on the road that might be crossing the road at night, maybe poor lighting, again, it's going to, if you don't see them quick enough, it will actually start applying the brakes and help mitigate or maybe eliminate the potential for an accident. So some real neat safety feature. We also have lane sensing, so that camera up in the glass is sort of reading what's going on the road, reading the lines. And if you're wandering in the lines, perhaps you've been on a long drive and getting a little tired and sloppy, you're crossing over the line, it will actually warn you as such. And then you can activate optional steering assist with a little button on the steering wheel that will actually give you what they call adaptive and sort of haptic steering that will sort of push the car back into the center of the lane. And that also works for lane departure. So if you were to actually fall asleep at the wheel, and instead of going off the road, it's going to help sort of send it back. It actually kind of vibrates the steering wheel as well, so just to get your attention, and it could wake you up in a situation like that. As you can see down below, you've got nice big fog lights. Those are quartz halogen fog lights. And then up top, we have LED lights. Now, two of them are illuminated now because we're just on low beam. When you hit high beam, the third one lights up. And these LED lights are extremely bright. So you've got really no better nighttime illumination. These are wonderful for again, just illuminating what's going on ahead of you. And again, you've got that adaptive radar, cruise control, as well as a collision sensor in the front. Now, the off-road Model 2 also comes with nice aggressive sort of cladding, say bigger 19-inch wheels. You can see the tires are in great shape, and they're a nice sort of, they're not a real kind of knobby off-road tire. They're more of a touring tire, and so very quiet on the highway. You've got integrated splash guards. These obviously protect from not only door dings but stones and whatnot, and that continues all the way down through the lower doors. You can see that lower protection on the doors. You see all the seals that lock everything out, and this is Very, very clean. There's no marks on this at all. That cladding also protects on the underbody as well. So again, any stones or sand or salt and other debris that gets tossed from the wheels on the road gets picked up by that, and it's not scratching up your paint. All the wheels have anti-theft wheel locks. If you look in the back there, you'll see brand new brakes in the back. So one thing we do here at CarSmart is we include the safety inspection. We don't do what a lot of dealers do now, where we advertise a price and then, you know, try to tack on another $1,000 for the safety inspection and detailing. It's all included in our pricing. So we're very transparent with sort of a one price model. We don't negotiate on the pricing. We give very fair pricing that leaves us a fair profit margin. And yeah, if you do your homework, and I think you'll see that that's the case with how we market our cars. Rear wiper washer, obviously. You've got a third LED brake lamp up front. You've got LED brake lights. Now it's a single exhaust, but it splits at the back where the rear muffler is, and then you've got those sort of twin sort of polished chrome tips on them, so it gives it a nice sporty appearance there. You can see how that rear roofline sort of gives you that sort of duckbill lip spoiler on the back of the tailgate. It looks nice, but it is also functional, because that sort of sets up a current, or what they call an eddy in the back, that helps reduce wash up onto the window. Like, you know, when you're on wet roads and heavy rain or snow, you get less of that. Of course, you do have a rear wiper washer to augment that as well. That little, they call them shark fin antennas up top. That has really a dual function. It's not only a radio antenna, but it also has a built-in satellite radio antenna as for satellite communication. You've got a locked fuel door, inside release from the driver's side. These utilize a sort of a smart key system. So when you come into the car, you just touch the door handles and they automatically unlock. You just leave the key in your pocket or your coat, your purse, whatever the case might be, and then the car opens up. Now obviously it's unlocked now with it running, but we have power windows, power door locks, power mirrors, all on the driver's side sort of column here. Nice sort of deep pockets, and then a nice little sleeve at top, so, you know, tall canned drinks, water bottles, etc. will fit nicely in there. We've got a coaxial speaker that gives you a good dynamic range. We also have speakers tucked in on both corners up front and an additional 2 in the back, so 6 speaker audio. You'll see the nice little RAV4 sill plates, power adjustable seat, including a power lumbar support, so that's what's giving you that extra lower back support. Premium leather. Again, you see how the little perforations all through the leather, top and bottom, because it has both cooling, where it actually blows cold air through the seats for hot weather to keep it nice and, again, not too sweaty. And then in the winter time, of course, you have heating, the opposite for warming it up. We also have a heated steering wheel. And actually, I just turned that on, but you'll see the light there, that's your heated steering wheel. Other switches here. This is your dimmer switch for, you know, adjusting the brightness of all your dash and interior lighting. This little light here with the A, that's a automatic headlight or high beam dimming. So it's a sort of, they call it auto high beam assist. So when you have that light activated, if you have your high beams on at night, as you approach another car, again, the sensors up here, the light sensors, will read that and it will automatically dim your headlights. The other switch beside that, that's what's turning on the, get the right angle here so we can see this. There we go. This one here is the front wiper part de-icing. So that's the electric heating element in the lower glass. And again, that was the heated steering wheel, and this one is a power tailgate. Down below here's trunk and fuel door releases. Of course, you've got a tilt and telescopic steering wheel, leather wrap steering wheel, heated as mentioned. On the left stock here, of course, you've got your signal lights, high beam flash, your headlight controls. We do have automatic headlights. I've got them on manually now for demonstration in the daytime, and the little inner switch is for the fog lights on and off. Now, in addition to the auto on-off headlights, these also have an auto off headlight, so it's sort of a delay off system. I believe it's a 30-second delay, so when you pull into your driveway at night or anywhere you're parking at night, your headlights are going to stay on for 30 seconds to give you that extra, you know, assist as you get into the house or wherever you're heading and where you go. Opposite side, we have our wiper controls. You'll see the auto control button. Now you do have, again, a full variable delay, so even when you're in the automatic mode, you can still control a little faster or a little slower with this little rocker switch here to speed up or slow down the pulses. And then we have a regular low and high wipe option beyond that, and a rear wiper and washer control for the back window. Now, the instrumentation here, so sunlight's coming in here at an odd angle, but again, you'll see a nice big tachometer on the left. Of course, the lights there are just a parking brake light on, and then the seatbelt warning light. In the center cluster here, we have, again, distance to empty. So this is a multifunction control here that's sort of telling us what's what's going on as far as a trip computer, distance to empty, what my fuel range is, etc. And then all this is controlled through sort of a multifunction controller here, so I can see different things. We have a digital speedometer up top. We have your lane assist on, with steering control. And that's all controlled through here. So you can turn off the steering control or turn it on, what they call the active steering assist. And now you can change your display, but you can have like a digital speedometer, again showing in miles per hour or kilometer per hour or both. This is telling us our low beams are on, as well as the fog lights. Of course, a digital clock, which I can have in a 24-hour clock or a regular 12-hour clock. And then BSM is just telling us my blind spot monitors are active. Those are those little, again, in the mirrors, the controls, or indicators, I should say. And then we have a trip odometer reset here, fuel gauge, and temperature gauge. So pretty straightforward. Down in the center, we have also transmission position, so that's telling us, of course, we're in park right now. Outside ambient temperature, so outside temp. And then you have dual trip odometers, so trip A and a trip B, which can be zeroed out and switched over with this little button here. So if we go to, you'll see there's the regular kilometers. Sorry, get the right angle here. We're at 129,563 as it sits right now. Airbags, so we've got like 10 airbags, excuse me, throughout this one. So you've got airbags, one in the driver's steering wheel, one up top. We have individual airbags sort of in each front seat, on the side bolsters, and those are what they call side impact airbags. Now those 4 airbags are what they call a dual stage or variable stage airbags, in that they go off at different levels based on the amount of impact energy and the type of collision. So there's a number of sensors that are reading deceleration, how hard that impact was, whether it was from the front or the side or a combination. So all these things come into factors, even things like the seating position of the driver, because a shorter driver is going to be typically closer to the wheel, and it will decide whether it goes off at a higher level or a lower level based on all these parameters. And this is all designed to give you the right amount of airbag support without giving you too much, and it has that on both sides. It also has what they call a classification sensor. It's actually a weight sensor in the passenger front seat, and that's what's telling the airbag on this side whether or not it's needed, because obviously if you've got nobody sitting there, even if you are in an accident, no point setting off that airbag, because they're not cheap. They're thousands of dollars, and it'll certainly help keep down the repair costs and ultimately your insurance costs. But another neat feature it has is it will turn off that airbag until that weight hits about 90 to 95 pounds. So it's recognizing it as really as a full-grown, or certainly a larger adult, anybody that's very small under that range. It keeps that airbag off, and it keeps it safe if you need to have children or small teens sitting in that front seat. So other things on the steering wheel. Again, we've got that multifunction controller through here. So depending on messages, like for example, if you have your phone hooked up and texting, like your text messages can come right through to here. You have all your setup here for the different lane change assist, and the blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic assist, and all these different options. Your phone controls are here. So if we had an incoming phone call, you've got all your trip odometers and trip computers. Right now, this is telling me what my media selection is. I have my iPhone hooked up here, we're streaming music through my Amazon Music account. So there's a number of ways to push media into there. And then, of course, you've got your safety systems and lane change assist up with there. And then we're back into economy and the message center. Volume controls are here, voice controls. So regardless of whether you have just normal Toyota system going, once you've paired your phone with streaming, you can do Bluetooth streaming and voice commands. So for example, voice activated dialing, and that can be accommodated through Apple CarPlay as well, where you basically speak to the car through the Siri app, and it will not only give you any other information or questions you may ask, but if you say, for example, call CarSmart, however it's labeled in your contacts list on your cell phone, it will automatically, through advanced voice recognition, recognize that now, and you'll see a message has just come through. So a phone call has come through, and just telling me a voicemail message has come through. So again, it's a nice big 8-inch full color display. It's all touch screen. So for example, if I want to go to my Google Maps, I can do that through here. If you're familiar with CarPlay, this little bottom button here sort of is your main sort of home menu where you can activate your phone, your different music apps, your texting. Again, as you can see, different apps through Toyota. I've got iHeartRadio, NPR Radio, Google Maps is there as well. I've got, I also sometimes use Waze, different map apps. So the nice thing using these smartphone apps is they're always up to date, right? A factory navigation system is great when the car is new or maybe a few years old, but once it starts to age, your maps are quickly out of date, and to get them updated, it's several $100s to the dealership to do that. So this is really the way of the future. It's just using your smartphone to activate your map systems. And it all has voice control if you want voice prompts, etc. And of course, it gives you real-time traffic updates. So if there's an accident, it'll give you rerouting around it. So it's really much more advanced than factory applications ever were. It'll tell you things like if there's accidents ahead, or police noted, or debris on the road, all those sorts of things. So all kinds of real-time traffic updates. And so cruise control is all controlled through here as well. Your mode button, of course, it allows you to switch between your various media modes. So you have the normal radio modes, AM, FM, satellite radio, Sirius XM, and on that note, with satellite radio, we will set you up with a free 90-day account if you wish. You can sort of test drive the satellite radio through Sirius XM, and then you can decide after that if you wish to continue it. So ask about that. But again, AM, FM, it has HD or high definition radio, and then of course you've got all your various media options. So pushing media in through your smartphone app, through streaming or through CarPlay, as we've got going here. And then you also have, you'll see down here where my phone is lying, you've got a 12-volt power plug, but you've got a USB port right there now, as well as an aux input. So if you have an older iPod, you can plug it in. That's totally functional with this. Any other MP3 players, if you have music or other media on a USB stick, you can stick it into that USB port and it'll push it through to the car's media system. So again, lots of ways to send in the music or ebooks or whatever you like to listen to on long drives. You can do that. Another neat feature here is a charging pad. It's called a QI charge pad. So this is all inductive charging. You see a little yellow light telling you it's on, but what it wirelessly does is you just set your smartphone down on there, it automatically charges it while you're driving. As long as that light is on, you can turn it on and off with that little light. Through here we have individual sort of climate control zones, so it says dual zone automatic climate control. I can synchronize to the same temperature as the driver, or select different temperatures depending on your preference. You see AC on and off. Auto mode, it's going to automatically select fan speed and airflow controls, but then we can override that, so I can choose my own airflow patterns and change my fan speed as I see fit. There's an eco mode that will, again, especially when cooling, it will cycle the air conditioning compressor less to save fuel economy. So there's lots of different modes here. Rear defrosting, front defrosting. When you're on rear defroster, of course, that not only electrically defrosts the back windows, but also defrosts your side view mirrors. Moving down, transmission. So automatic transmission, there's a little lever in behind to move it sort of into gear. So there's our reverse, and once we pop it into reverse, of course, our camera, main info screen turns into our big backup camera. And you can see the park assist line, so it has active parking assist. So as you turn the steering wheel, that's going to tell you where the car is going to head. So if you're trying to negotiate into a parking spot, you can see that. You also have the little distance lines at sort of 12-inch, 24, 36 inches to tell you how close you're getting to a vehicle. Now this doesn't have a trailer hitch, but if you put a hitch on it, you'll see the center line, so it makes it real easy to back up and line up your hitch. You can select from two different views, sort of a wide angle view or sort of a standard view. You can choose to drop the park assist lines if you choose, so lots of different options there with the camera system. Once we go into drive, and you'll see down here the little lights up as D, you can also do manual shifting, so you can flip it into the left where it goes into, it's still fully automatic at this point, but it's in what they call a sport mode. So it changes the transmission shift points. It makes it's sportier, gives you kind of a quicker, more rapid shift. It sort of holds it again to higher RPMs, just so it gives it a little peppier acceleration. Albeit, it's going to cost you maybe slightly in fuel economy in sport mode, but really it's the kind of thing you have to sort of decide your driving style and what best suits your needs. Then you have manual shifting, so you can upshift, downshift just by pushing forward or back on that, sort of a selective shift. It's an 8-speed overdrive automatic, so very tall gearing, so it's extremely good fuel economy. When you're out on the highway, cruising along at 100 kilometers an hour, you're only revving about 1700 RPM on the engine. I'm just looking on my notes here today. I didn't write down the fuel economy, but these get excellent fuel economy, down in the 6.5 on the highway, so it's very, very, very good. It's important to note too, these run on just regular unleaded gas. You do not need mid-grade or premium fuel. And it's 203 horsepower, so it's lots of pep. 184 pound-feet of torque. You see that 8-speed overdrive transmission with that sort of optional direct shift, manual shifting. Now, when you get into the off-road or the trail model that we're looking at, you'll see these different buttons here. So we have a button here we can push to normal, or we can choose different off-road selections, mud and sand and rock. So if you're getting into really rough terrain, it really optimizes the all-wheel drive system and the center differentials and whatnot to give you the best traction, especially when you're in very loose surfaces. There's also a snow mode for wintertime. There's a downhill assist mode, so if you're descending a really long, steep, sort of mountainous type trail, that mode might be worthwhile. We don't see that typically down here in Niagara very often, but if you're traveling into Vermont or out west, etc., that certainly would be handy. You've got your parking brake on and off, electronic parking brake. It has an auto hold feature. When that's activated, it's kind of neat. When you pull up to a stop sign, just hit the hold button, and what happens is it'll automatically hold the brake on, so you can take your foot off the brake, sort of stretch your legs while they're waiting for the light to change, and then it will automatically release once you hit the accelerator pedal. And then we can also choose from eco, normal, or sport modes, not just for transmission, but it also changes the different drive select modes. So it also alters things like your power steering assist. In the sporty mode, it's going to be a little firmer. The eco mode, softer. Normal's going to be... Okay, picking up where we left off. So again, we've got set of glasses, storage. These are sunroof controls. So this is what controls the operation of that overhead glass sunroof panel. So you have that tilt mode where you can vent that up and down, and you have a full open mode here as well. So you can control that as well to slide the sunroof totally open. You've got individual sort of spotlights, overhead lights, door switch. This is where a lot of people will leave it, and that way it'll automatically switch on and off when you open and close the doors. You've got the visor extenders or shade extenders, dual illuminated visor vanity mirrors. They're just operated by sliding that little cover open and closed. Now, as we talked about earlier, the airbags, we also have airbags that extend over the front windows and back windows that drop down. They're called curtain airbags, and they're designed to protect you in really a side impact or even a rollover impact. These are different than the other airbags that they'll stay inflated for much longer, because you can imagine a rollover incident. If you went off-road and were sort of rolling over through a field or something like that, you're going to get really tossed around. And so these airbags will cushion your head and upper body from jamming, banging into pillars and glass and all the rest of it. So very good for safety. We also have active head restraints that are, anti-whiplash. You've got height adjustable seatbelts, not only for comfort, but to get that seatbelt in the right position over your neck where they're chafing. they have collision pretensioners and load limiters. And they're designed to really tighten the seat belts in the first instances of a serious accident. And by tightening the belts, you're, again, they're going to do a much better job of I guess holding you tight in your seat is what I'm trying to say. So again, it just does a much better job of restraint, and that's all part of safety. So seat backs in the back. The right side one has a sort of a nice little storage pocket for stuff. You can see through the center console the vents. Two more USB charge ports in the base of the console. Now it has two sets of floor mats, all the original carpet mats, and then previous owner sprung for probably a $200 set of premium Toyota sort of deep tray mats. If you look underneath there, it's hard to see, but there are vents as well. So this is blowing cool or warm air, depending on the season, through to the back in addition to those vents. So it's all part of your rear heat and air conditioning. Flip-up armrest. And of course we have anchor points for child seats. Here, through here, so you can put child seats in any of the three positions across the back. The seats themselves also recline. That's kind of your upright position, and that sort of will go back a couple inches to give you that recline feature. They clip and fold nice and flat through to the rear. So let's move around and we'll open up the tailgate. I'll stop here quickly and show you the fuel door access. Again, you've got again, that inside locked release. It just takes regular gas, so least expensive grade. So several ways to open up the tailgate. One is just pushing that little soft touch sort of switch there to open it up. Second way is through the key. Thirdly, there's a switch again to the left of the driver's steering wheel. So under the floor, you've got your spare tire, tools, jack, and a little extra storage around the corners. We have carpet mats that are all there as well, so 8 floor mats. Then this can actually fold up and stay inside this sort of zipped little case, but it's what they call a cargo retention net. I guess we've all had that situation where you've got a big load of groceries or something loose, and you load them all up in the back, and by the time you get home you have to repack the bags because everything is spilled out. So this is kind of handy. You can sort of stuff them in here and it just keeps everything retained. You do also have this nice sort of cargo privacy cover, so when the tailgate's closed, nothing's visible in the back, so prying eyes can't see it. You've got a light that illuminates in the back. We've got 2 different power plugs, so a 12-volt plug and a regular AC 120 volt. So cars run on what they call direct current, or DC. And so it has a built-in power inverter that converts it to regular household current, so you can plug in a regular appliance in there. Battery chargers, for example, maybe you've got tools and you want to charge your batteries to your drill before you're heading to do that project. So again, lots of little things you can use that for. You can also get plug-in travel coolers. You can see the little storage area there. Of course, both seats fold and flat. This removes, and actually it is designed, it'll actually fold neatly under there and store beneath the floor, so if you're not using the cargo cover. We've got a one-touch release to shut that down. LED license plate lights, that's our little camera that's giving us the backup view. So we'll finish this off under hood here. We've got 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. The hood release is just right in the center there. This is good old school technology. Unlike a lot of other manufacturers where they've gone to really super small 4-cylinder and even 3-cylinder engines with turbochargers to give them kind of equivalent power or similar power, Toyota's stuck with a normally aspirated engine. This is not turbocharged. 2.5 liter, double overhead cam, 16 valves, variable valve timing with intelligence, which Toyota's been doing for many, many years and done it very reliably. The only thing that you're really getting into the newer version of this is it has both direct injection as well as sequential port injection. And if you've kind of been reading up on direct injection and turbocharging, the direct injection can cause issues with carbon buildup on the intake valves. And Toyota very intelligently recognized this. There's a lot of benefits to direct injection, better power, better economy, but that nasty carbon buildup on the intake valves can be a very expensive job. So they maintain sequential injection that gives it a little squirt of gas just on an intermittent basis to clean the intake valves, and it really gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the direct injection advantages of economy and power, but without the carbon buildup. So again, it's typical of Toyota. I'm the home one. One thing you will notice with direct injection is they are a little louder because they're much higher pressure fuel injectors. So you'll hear that tick, tick, tick. That is normal. Excuse me. You'll notice a fresh battery in there. There is no rust on this whatsoever. Clean as a whistle. Very, very clean. Excuse me. So that pretty much wraps it up. I'm Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls, and this 2019 RAV4 is for sale. Thank you for watching.